Welcome back to Benny's Custom Works, proudly supported by Haltech and Sparesbox. Don't forget Benny 5 on checkout this week. We are pulling my 2JZ apart. The reason for us pulling it apart is, first and foremost, I don't really know much about it. It had over 300,000 Ks on it when we pulled it out of the GS300 all those years ago. It did look like it had been on the bottom of the ocean. I have given it a pretty good pressure wash and acid wash and actually stripped most of the scunge off it. So the plan today is to basically take the cylinder head off, and get that ready to send away for a full service. We do have some Kelford cams, we do have some valve springs. I've also got some valve stem seals, all from Golby's parts. And we've also got a plethora of other good bits that have come from Golby's as well. We are also going to pull the sump off and reseal that because someone's already had a crack at it and not so great. So there's probably a good tube and a half of sealant in that. So yeah, I'm a little bit concerned on what the pickup's going to look like. Hopefully it's not mega sludgy because I haven't touched this thing yet. I haven't really pulled anything apart other than what you see. I did play around and fit my head flange for the exhaust side just to have a look at it, which was actually another bit that we got from Golby. So yeah, the plan today is basically just get to the point where it's a stripped down, assembled short block with no sump on it, or maybe we'll actually get the sump back on it. But yeah, the goal is to be able to get the head sent off for a service and a clean up, and then we can get it all whacked back together. I'm not actually going to touch the bottom end unless we find something heinous like the sump's full of metal, which I'm really hoping that that's not the case, because I don't really want to go spending real money building an NA2J. Because yeah, the idea is still to be budget friendly, even though we've got obviously some pretty cool bits now. So we do have some Kelford cams, which were a custom grind for Christian. Originally he was actually going to build a 2JZ GE drift car with some ITBs. He's now grandfathered us all the good bits that he collected over the years for that project. We've also got some Golby's engineering parts as well. We've got a adjustable exhaust cam wheel, and they've actually made a direct fit oil fill funnel for the 2J or the JZ series rocker covers. So plenty of chat's going to be had, so let's tear into it so I'm not standing here talking shit forever. Woo, JZ.
No shit.
He didn't even know what that was from until 5 minutes ago. Now he's throwing it around everywhere.
I had to ask him. Let's be real.
You're not even that young, bro. So we'll replace the stock one and we'll replace that because the exhaust cam will be dialed in. So effectively it means it's adjusted to be in the correct spot, which I don't know how to do. So Isaac's going to come and help us do that.
Remind us again about the history of this engine and the donor car.
So this engine was a friend's mum's car on the south coast of New South Wales in a place called Bega. I don't know how long it sat. They replaced the car because it started to have like electrical problems and all the Lexus-y parts were going wrong. The engine in the box was still good. And like I said before, it had over 300,000 Ks on it, and they sold it to me for 500 bucks. So I think we did a video on it, the cheapest way to get a 2J. Shock horror, buy a cheap car with a 2J in it. That is how you get a cheap 2J. But you've got to do the work yourself to pull it apart. So the reason I'm pulling these studs out is because when you take a cylinder head to a head shop, they don't want anything extra on it. So we're going to send it with no rocker covers, no fittings, no timing cover. We'll take the variable cam timing solenoid out. It won't have any wheels on it. Actually, I might not even put I will send it with the stock cams because then it'll keep all the buckets in there. But yeah, we'll go through it over the course of the day anyway. But yeah, when you take a cylinder head to a head shop, they don't want all sorts of junk hanging off it, because then every single thing is it's pretty much a liability thing. Like, they just don't want stuff on the engine, on their cylinder head, that they may break or lose. So yeah, keep that in mind when you're sending cylinder heads or even engines complete to a machine shop, because every little bit can go walkabout, especially when you strip stuff down to the bare components, and then there's boxes of parts that get put down or lost or moved. So yeah, keep that in mind.
I wonder how many engines they'd be working on at any one time.
Man, most engine shops you go to, there's 50 or more engines just sort of sitting around in various states of buildedness.
Yeah, there's only so many buckets of random bolts that you can have labelled accurately.
Yeah, eventually you're going to lose someone's stuff. It's just numbers. Oh, that's nifty.
What do we got here?
So this is like a water pump bypass, I think, or a water feed back to the cylinder head. And it's actually got a tube with two O-rings because I wondered what happened if you deck the head, how this all lines up. But because you've got this, you've actually got movement that way. You've got movement in all axes, basically. Oh. I even wore a nice shirt today. But yeah, basically it'll move and allow for the cylinder head to be decked, because I do want to knock probably 0.5 mil to 3/4 mil off that cylinder head to try and bring the comp up a little bit. I've been Googling, and no way, surprise, surprise, the internet has mixed results on decking a cylinder head to get more compression, especially with a 2J, because the VVTi piston to valve clearance is already fairly tight, which means it can go bad.
Because they could make contact.
If you machine too much off the head,
Yeah.
it's going to be friends with things.
Okay. AKA worst enemies.
Yeah, it'll get expensive. The expensives will fall out. Nothing's really concerning me yet.
That's good. I mean, we're not that far.
It's early days.
But yeah. So when you say machining off, machining
We'll
off.
talk about it when it's
where?
off this face.
This face here.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah,
Which
right.
we'll talk about again when the head's off.
All right.
Because you can't really see anything at the moment. The fact there's no metal in that solenoid is very promising.
I'm going to find the most successful music I can, if this all goes to plan.
Hear that note change?
Assuming the reason you're hitting this is because that's a changeable part.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest, I don't even know if these rocker covers are going to stay around. I might go for something a bit prettier, because they're not a very nice looking cover. Because these are designed to run with like a half engine cover, and because we're going to use the Haltech R35 coil kit, like a direct fit coil kit, because these would have had a waste spark system originally, so 3 coils and 3 leads. So we're going to go away from that.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe how clean that is for the amount of Ks on this engine.
Wow. Hey, what's the difference with the colour change mean?
A colour change?
Yeah. Why is
this side darker?
Yeah.
No idea.
Huh.
It's even more strange considering this is the exhaust side, so you would have thought, if anything, there'd be darker oil on the exhaust side. Just from the heat, but yeah, someone's gone to town with the silicon. 2 separate times, because this is black silicon, so someone's done the rocker covers on a separate, well, they're not rocker covers, but tappet covers, valve covers, whatever the covers you want them to call.
Yeah. Top covers.
Yeah. Not the cam sump. I am going to flick that bit of silicon out, because there's a bit that's just dropped.
Yeah, so over-slazzing for obvious reasons is bad, because you wouldn't want that slaz to leak into the engine and then have little bits of slaz around.
Yeah, exactly like this piece here. Like that piece was just floating around at the back edge of the rocker cover.
Yeah.
So that could all that was inside the rocker cover, so potentially that could have broken off.
Yeah.
And gone into the engine, which is a bad time.
It makes me wonder, after you slaz an engine, if you should be doing an oil change soon after, in case any dislodged.
It's really not going to just dislodge and fall down straight away anyway.
Okay, just gets swooshed around.
Like it could be 2 years later.
Wow.
Subarus have, or Subaru and Toyota, which I mean they're all built by Subaru, but whatever, have problems with BRZ86 with that exact thing where the silicon becomes dislodged, or RTV sealant becomes dislodged over time, and then it ends up in the oil pickup. And interestingly, even the new engine, which they said they've resolved that issue on, has the same issue. So we're taking off the accessory belt tensioner, not the time belt tensioner. Get that off and out of the way. I do need to get that crank balancer off. 22 maybe? Let's see how good my guess was.
Hey, bang on.
Pretty standard 22 in most Jap cars, eh?
Yeah, what are the standard Jap car sizes?
Yeah, but
14,
I mean, as far
17.
as crank bolts go, that's a pretty standard size.
Okay.
That was pretty painless. So now we go to one of my many drawers of stuff. Get our magic puller. Oh, yuck.
Oh no.
Oh, one of the tensioner bolts is damaged in the head. The middle of the balance is actually aluminium.
Which is odd because
It's never seen it before.
usually made out of something else.
Yeah, it would have been steel, I would have thought.
Just because strength.
Yeah. I can actually show one of the tools that I got from Hughes Race Built, because they do have a crank socket. In my haste to put the engine on top dead center, I've actually put it 180 degrees out. So what we're going to do is use our Hughes Race Built crank socket to spin it over, because I've already taken the balancer off it. These guys make tons of engine specific tools for service repairs and rebuilds. So by all means check them out. These are also stocked in Australia by Golby's, but they are made in New Zealand by Hughes Race Built. So really nice bits of gear.
Why do you need a specific size socket?
Because it's not like
okay.
It's actually for the size of the crank. So that goes straight on.
Yep.
And then it means I can put a ratchet in that and turn the engine over.
Oh, that's handy.
So I've actually got another one for a Subaru engine as well that I've had forever. That's basically the same concept.
Yeah.
But being that the crank snout's a lot different, obviously there's a lot of different crank snouts, so you need one specific for the engine that you're working on. There obviously are some crossovers in crank diameters and whatnot, but yeah, there are a lot of different options. So
why is it important to have it at top dead center?
oh, I've gone too far because I've been talking. Just to make sure that everything's in the right spot when you pull it apart. It's less important now, but when you are assembling it, use the top dead center on the crank typically, or when we pull the timing cover off, there'll actually be another mark for the crank sprocket to either the oil pump or to the block. And then both cam pulleys have also got a notch to the backing cover plate. So then basically it means you can time the cams statically in the correct spot. And then we've also got vernier adjustment in our exhaust cam wheel as well. There's no vernier adjustment for the inlet cam because it's a VVTi engine, so we don't need to touch that, which makes it a lot easier. But yeah, we do need to dial the exhaust one in on this engine, so things to keep in mind.
You told me that the top dead center before is with piston number 1.
Yeah, cylinder 1 at the top. Yeah.
And is that for every engine? That's
Typically.
Yeah, okay.
So Subarus, all of the marks on the timing cover for the actual timing belt, all the pistons are halfway up the bore. So Subaru do it completely differently, but because of the layout of a 6-cylinder, there's no way you could have all of those halfway up the bore because it just doesn't work. Take this jigger off. It's just a little belt guide. It's got to go back on before we reassemble it all. Such a simple time belt, literally one belt, one pulley. It's a far cry from Subaru land. I like it. So we're going to take the tensioner out now so we can take the belt off, because actually the belt looks really new, surprisingly. Not that we're going to reuse it again, but
what does that indicate to you?
it's been looked after.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, it's obviously been cared for in its lifetime.
What's that getting pulled off?
This or this?
The metal
time
thing.
belt tensioner.
Timing belt tensioner. Why does it look like you're meant to connect a hose to it? Or
no, the hose was on the water pump.
Okay.
So this is actually the hydraulic unit of the tensioner.
Okay.
Which we won't need anymore.
Assuming new tensioner
Yeah, there's
has
a new
its own...
tensioner. But basically these are like a hydraulic unit, and you pull there's like a locking pin when they come new. I'll get the new one out of the box in a sec to show you. But yeah, this one's definitely done some work.
So that's a sealed unit.
Yeah.
There's nothing...
You can reset it.
Yeah, right.
They are reusable, but it is good practice to replace it when you do the belt. Speaking of sealed unit, it's in the bag. Yeah, so that is your replacement tensioner. This one's actually aluminium, interestingly. This one's cast iron, but see the pin locks it. So when you install it, it's in the rest position. So it means you can adjust the belt and move it around. Once you pull that pin out, you're basically committed.
Oh, there you go.
But like I said, you can reset them. But yeah.
Sounds too difficult.
No, not really. You can do it in a hydraulic press, or some people even use a bench vise. Belt can come off now. Yeah, so if you look at this belt, it's actually pretty good. Like, it's still got all the markings on it. It's not a genuine belt, but the belt I'm putting on is not a genuine belt either.
Is it true that in most cases it's probably good to use genuine parts where you can?
Yeah, for sure.
In this case, you're obviously not that concerned.
Genuine or
because...
aftermarket that are upgraded from the OE. Like, a lot of the parts we've got from Golby's are upgraded or stronger than the OE, like especially the time belt.
Okay.
If you go heavier valve springs or anything like that, you want to put a heavier belt in the engine. Well, sorry, a stronger belt, I should say, not a heavier belt.
Is that just generally because it's under more stress?
More stress, yeah. Sick.
Why does it say JZV here?
Probably variable valve timing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, JZ variable valve timing, maybe.
I don't know. It says number 1 over here. Is that because it thinks it's the best engine?
You light the internet up with that comment.
Oh yeah, watch this. But over on the other cam it says number 2, which probably means that it thinks it's the second best engine behind the RB.
RB is definitely not the best engine. Why are you an RB fanboy? You don't know anything RB.
Yeah, I know, but they sound so good.
Do they though? I reckon JZ sounds better.
Okay, so you're, yeah, rightio. That was my next question. Is
I actually think a turbo 1J sounds better than a turbo 2J though.
Are you going to light the internet up with that one?
No, I think that's pretty...
Common knowledge?
Hey?
Common knowledge? Just spitting facts?
Who knows, bro? America will think the 2J sounds better because they got way more 2Js than 1Js. Well, technically they didn't get any 1Js. But neither did we, so whatever. Oh, that's interesting. So this pipe here would have been a vacuum reference for the power steering idle up on some 2Js. I wondered why it was on this engine even though it wasn't used, but it's actually welded to this backing cover. I'm going to cut it off.
That's just a manufacturing thing?
Yeah, it would have been that Toyota would have just used the same backing cover.
Yeah.
For all of them.
Actually, did you talk about why you wanted to shorten the dipstick?
No, I don't know if we even talked about it on camera.
Oh, yeah.
I want to shorten the dipstick it's just ugly. So I can hide it under the individual throttles, is the short answer.
How common of a thing is this whole 2J ITB NA thing?
I don't know.
In your mind, do you think you know how it might sound like?
But
Sounds good.
Jay's Prairie is 2J ITB.
Oh, cool.
And that sounds sick. But that's got a built engine.
Yeah,
high comp, like proper high comp.
Yeah, right.
All the good bits. It's definitely going to sound better than this.
What does high comp actually do to an engine?
Basically, it can make more power, but it's a lot more load on the engine as well.
I've been watching a lot of motorbike stuff lately.
Sorry to hear.
How come motorbikes can rev so high? It's sort of an unrelated question, but I don't know. Maybe
because everything's so light. They've got a lot of stuff. Like most of the bikes that rev high are going to be 4-cylinder or various 4-cylinder configurations. So a lot of small, like lightweight componentry. So like you'd have 4 cylinders over 1 litre. So the crank's smaller, the rods are smaller, the pistons are smaller, everything's lighter. Valve train is much more developed typically than a car engine, but also lighter. Like everything is lightweight on a...
Wow, so it's really just a physics thing.
Yeah, there's also like design elements as well on how things are sort of operating. Wasn't really the greatest answer, but...
That's fine, fair enough. You have no interest in motorbikes, I don't think. Which sort of surprises me.
That's interesting. It's like a coolant temp sensor blank. So it's literally a coolant temp sensor that hasn't been drilled for the probe, because on the GS300 there was no dash gauge. Like the ECU told the dash from this sensor how hot it was. But I'll probably actually put the factory 1G sensor in that hole. As much as I love IC7s and UC10s, I just want to keep the interior of this car pretty standard looking. The one thing I may do is actually put the digital cluster from the higher spec model in it, but it'll still be that kind of OE style dash. So this is the ECU coolant temp sender. But yeah, hopefully the coolant temp sender in that engine for the dash is similar to this. A little bit sludgy, but nothing too bad.
Do you risk snapping this if you undo it in the incorrect order?
I mean, it really won't matter for these cams because they're going in the bin anyway.
Yeah, but
yeah, I mean, if you want to do the right thing, because if you are going to reuse them, that's interesting. So an 8mm bolt, but they're a 10mm head. Sneaky little 2J things. There's no valve spring tension. Oh, there we go. Found it. It was like, why are they so lazy? Like, as far as everything's just coming out.
That's kind of odd. Why are we smelling
That burn smell.
Yeah, that burned oil sort of
It's coming out through the bolt holes.
And that's obviously normal.
Yeah. There we go. So those front caps are literally what's holding it. It can't be stuck. There we go.
Is this getting caught up on the dowels? Is that what I sound?
Yeah, maybe. They're just a bit gunked up. Just threads are hanging up in them a little bit. There we go. Wow, they're like rocks.
As in the rubber?
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're placing these down in order.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all machined. The cylinder head's tunnel board or line board. So they've all got to go back in the same place. They are all numbered, so you could just pull them all off and send it, but there's really no need to. Like, it's not helping anyone by doing it, so there we go. Yeah, so that front exhaust valve was compressed, so the cam had actually bound up in the head. There we go.
Wow, big breaker bar.
Thank you.
And at the end of that is a Torx bit?
No, it's like a double, it's like a 12 point.
There's so much torque that you probably, if you used a hex, you'd probably be rounding it by now. Is that sort of the idea behind the 12 point?
I feel like sometimes some of these double hex fasteners can actually strip worse.
Oh wow.
Depends if they corrode too.
Right.
That one was a bit loose. I wonder if this has had the head done before.
Once these come out, the head comes off?
I'll put the cams back in and the caps on.
Oh, yeah.
So that none of the shims and buckets fall out.
Yeah.
Can't believe how good a condition this is in for how many Ks are on it. I would have expected a lot more wear. Like, they've really only got a few little marks on these. The journals all look clean.
Yeah.
There's no real kind of cause for concern anywhere.
That's what we want to hear.
You need to make sure you get all the washers out too, because they're not captive on these bolts. And these are single use. The factory, see, that's what I mean about them coming out. The 2J or the JZ head bolts are single use.
Interesting.
So they're like a torque to yield type deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, they don't get another go. But in our instance, we're actually going to be using ARP, just ARP 2000 series studs that we got from Golby's as well. Magnet tools, always a winner, except for when you pull the buckets out. Yummy. Engine Vegemite.
So they don't have to go back in the specific
If I tighten this up, then it will push the valves down. So I'm just going to kind of do it more finger tight because I don't want to be sticking valves into pistons. So that's a sad time. So when we get this back, they'll be all fully chemically cleaned and it'll look like a brand new head pretty much.
Head coming off?
Yep.
There you go. Just like you said, top dead center.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that looks like.
Sure is.
So what's the firing order of this?
Yep.
Cool.
Google will tell us all. Interestingly, on the 2JZ GE, it's a single layer shim type head gasket rather than a multi-layer steel. So these are only like 0.5 of a mil thick. Man, I can't get over. Like, look at the deck, bro. Crazy for how many Ks are on this.
Once again, what were you expecting, or what would you expect to see more?
I'm just very surprised you can still see the actual machining marks in the deck.
Oh,
considering how many Ks
that's
are on
what
this.
That is this some sort of handy tip or trick?
Yeah. I'm just waiting till he just does the angry seagull reverse again.
Ah, yeah. Right on cue.
Yeah. I knew it was coming.
You kind of resemble a DJ at the deck there at the moment. Twisting the dials. Maybe it was in the stance.
Me?
Yeah.
A handy tip to get these block dowels out is to use a socket that fits directly inside, and that's really as good as a fit as you're going to get. And then I just grab some vice grips. The socket's basically just to stop that dowel tube being crushed. Give it one of those and they come straight out. And typically you don't even smack yourself in the face.
That's awesome.
And then you save them for Ron.
Those dowels, that's literally just to locate.
Yeah, that locates the head.
Yeah, cool.
So obviously everything's pretty precision in this between the cylinder head and the block, so you need it all to be square. Even having that head cocked half a mil could mean the timing belt doesn't run true and it would walk off the crank or the cam. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to consider with that sort of stuff.
Yeah, right.
Puke. Yeah, mad. How's there still oil in it?
Yeah, where's that coming out from?
The
Why
engine.
is it just that one place?
Oh, because that'll be the main oil head drain. We are going to put this back on today too. I wonder if this entire engine's been rebuilt. Just don't know if I feel like it's actually got 300,000 Ks on it.
Is that because of the slaz being maybe over slazed potentially?
Yeah, possibly.
Is that bad?
No, not really. There's been a little bit of water in there, but that could be from sitting, condensation.
Is this Mars, or like there's no sparklies there, is there?
No, that's all the water mixed with the oil.
Ah, gotcha.
Those little dots are all water.
Okay, cool. In Mars, I was like, holy crap, is
Nah,
that
they're not
metal?
sparklies, come.
Yeah, cool.
Shit. There's a nut in the engine.
Can you see it?
Not yet. Oil smell.
Wow, that looks real crazy. Just that big gaping hole in the engine there. When people say sludge, are we talking this thick stuff that's built up over here, or in general just...
Yeah, more that thicker stuff.
Can you reduce that with that engine oil flush stuff?
Yeah, or just changing your oil regularly.
Reckon you save yourself a lot of money by tearing this down yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Like you're paying a mechanic to do this, you're going to be at probably $400 or $500 just in labour.
Yeah.
Aha.
Aha. How'd you notice that?
Well, I just noticed that there was a big pool of oil and it felt like it was still bolted on somewhat.
Oh, yep. And I guess the other side, there's 4 bolts across here, and yeah, cool. Does this cover have a name?
Upper oil pan,
Yeah.
anything kind of like that.
What's next?
Try and find that bolt.
Yeah,
that
true.
nut.
True.
There he is. We're nut. We'll clean all that slaz off, tidy it up. I'm just using a spray lube to keep the stone and the block face lubricated, just so we can Try and knock as much junk off as possible. So it's just starting to kind of clean it up.
What's the technique here?
Just gentle.
Yep. Don't be careful. Don't be careful. Be careful not to take off too much from the block.
I mean, you can't. You'd have to be going pretty hard at it. Like, we haven't even started to take the marks off here yet. Like, we've still got. There's plenty to clean off. This is really just cleaning all the junk off the face. Being that it didn't have a blown head gasket, we don't really need to go too hard. You just want a good clean surface to put the gasket on.
That goes to show how crazy tight tolerances are in that engine.
Yeah, but nothing's going to go down because that's what the rings are for.
The rings.
The piston rings seal everything in.
I see. It's looking pretty good.
It's getting there. Still some low spots. I'll just keep going, really. There's still low spots. And get rid of that too. It's an oil level sender.
Yep.
We don't need that. It's more the razor blade to get off the big stuff because there's a lot of chunks that clogs that pad.
Why don't you need this anymore? Are you going to read that through something else? Or
Well, it's just oil level, so there's no. The car doesn't have it.
Yeah, okay.
As far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Haven't actually looked, so I should probably check that. Although I'm pretty sure I just the float. Nah, it doesn't have oil level.
That's weird. What are these grooves for?
Basically exactly this. It's just to hold the silicone in a bit better. This sump's definitely been sealed before, hey?
Do you reckon that's a good thing or a bad thing?
And it's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Just gonna clean the block flange with some brake cleaner.
Just to make sure there's no loose particles or anything? Right?
Yeah, and also to make sure there's no oil or grease on there.
Oh, yeah.
We need to replace that O-ring, obviously, because that's the main feed. The oil pickup actually doesn't come or isn't bolted directly to the block on a 2J. It comes through the pan, that intermediate pan rail. So got to make sure that that's spot on. And the other thing that you need to make sure is that you don't put RTV in that port because it will suck up and block the oil pump and all sorts of bad things will occur. So we've actually got some 3-bond grey sealer. This is part of the Golby's sump kit. So it's really cool. I actually do engine area kits per se. So this has got remain, main, and a remain, a front crank seal, and it also comes with all the O-rings for the oil pump, as well as the O-ring for the pickup. We're not actually going to be pulling, nailed it. We're not going to be pulling the oil pump off the engine this time because there's just really no need to touch it. It's doing its job. So, like I said before, it was running when we pulled it out of the car, so should be no reason to think that there's going to be any concern with that oil pump. So we'll go down to Slaztown. I'm actually going to put the sealer on the sump, not the block, because it does have all these grooves to kind of indicate where to put the sealer. So yeah, you want to make sure that you get all the sealer in those happy spots. Fortunately, there's dowel holes, so you can't put it in the wrong spot. Just plonk straight down.
Do these bolts have a torque rating?
Yep.
Do you know what that is off the top of you? You gonna look it up?
No.
So the idea of, you call it a baffle, I think you said?
Mm-hmm.
The idea of those is to slow the oil flow down from...
No, the opposite. Just to try and stop the oil moving up past the pickup in cornering and stuff. So it keeps the oil down here.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Because obviously the engine's currently upside down.
That's basically what I meant, but yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
When you said up, I thought you meant
up.
like...
Yeah. Sorry, up. Because the engine's facing
Yeah,
this
cool.
way. Yeah, mint.
Cool.
And people, I think, have like side sort of baffle-y things.
Oh yeah, full on deal.
Is it most common in SRs? To have
No,
that side
pretty much
baffle
any
thing,
performance engine,
Yeah, okay.
especially front sump, because accelerating, it's going to push the oil to the back of the engine. Slaz be slazzing. Damn it.
Oh, there was almost something wrong there.
Get in the bin. As I tighten it, you start to see the sealant come through. You just want minimal sealer beading. Basically just want like a nice uniform bead sticking out, which that's pretty good. It's a little bit heavy in a couple of spots, but it's much better than the old Slaz job. Hopefully it doesn't leak. I'm going to cover the deck in masking tape.
Obviously to stop any foreign
Just to seal it,
schmutz getting
but
in.
I am actually going to paint the block.
With?
I've ordered some paint, which is actually designed for engines, but it's actually designed to go over the top of rust. It's called POR 15. So POR stands for paint over rust.
Oh yeah.
So it's got like some magical stuff in it.
Cool.
That's designed to go straight over the top of rust. But the cool thing is it's actually a brush on. So it's a brush on enamel that lays flat. So that means I don't have to spend hours masking up everything, and
Oh yeah.
like I'll still clean it, but it
So-
should mean that it'll be much easier to actually paint everything
Yeah. So what colour is it?
black.
Yeah, nice.
Just going like a really nice gloss black, and I've actually cleaned the engine number up with the same block that I dressed the top of the deck with.
Yep.
And I'm going to I'll actually mask the engine number, and then I'll clear over the top of the engine number separately so that the engine number is still visible.
Okay, cool.
Because the problem is with some of these high build paints, you basically end up filling the engine number in with the paint.
Of course.
And then when you go and get a roadworthy, you can't read the engine number.
Yeah.
And then it's very annoying after you've spent hours painting the block to be sanding the block down at the inspection station
Yeah.
when they're trying to find an engine number.
Yeah. You know what the title of this video is going to be now, don't you?
What?
How to cut perfect shapes with a hammer.
And then they'll watch the short and go, this didn't tell me how to cut perfect shapes with a hammer. The internet. It's actually not the right hammer for this job.
Do you have the right hammer for this job?
No, otherwise I would be using it.
Yeah. Thought so.
It's right enough. No, you want to use a ball peen hammer normally.
Ball paint, whatever that
Ball
is.
peen.
Oh, ball peen.
P-E-I-N. So this is actually a really good way to make gaskets.
Oh, yeah?
They teach you this at TAFE. It's like one of the first modules you actually do at TAFE is like gasket making.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, this is how they teach you to make gaskets for engines.
So what you meant to sort of do actually that with the masking tape and then
No,
transfer
you literally
it?
use the gasket paper straight on the piece.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think at TAFE we did a thermostat gasket.
They don't teach you just to slaz on whatever you have around?
No, because, I mean, engine sealant is actually a very Japanese thing.
Right.
Most manufacturers use a gasket.
Huh.
But Japanese seem to use sealant a lot more. And I wonder if, because that's very motorbike,
Right.
so I wonder if a lot of Japanese car manufacturers, because they're also motorbike manufacturers, have adopted those technologies on car engines after using them on bike engines. And the other thing is too, it's actually way cheaper because you're just using sealant. You're not having to make 40 gaskets per engine. The other thing you need to keep in mind is when you're doing this with a hammer on the edge of a block deck is do it very, very gently, because any big impacts is actually going to make high spots in the deck. So you just got to be very gentle. That's why I'm using the smallest hammer known to man.
I've seen smaller.
Of course you have. Because I want to be able to paint basically right up
Yeah, up
to this
the
edge.
very edge.
Yeah. It'll never, ever, ever, ever matter to anyone, but it'll matter to me.
And it's your engine. So
Exactly.
You do you. Plus, it's satisfying to watch. So, you know what you should do?
What?
Just don't do like one of the last. Just leave a couple like that.
What's
straight.
wrong with you?
Are you going to cover any of this?
Nah. Because it's brush.
Yeah, cool.
So I'm literally just gonna, I'll just be gentle on that edge.
Yeah, cool. What do any of the numbers on this side mean?
No idea. They'd just be like block ID numbers or something.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
And then do you worry about this side as well?
No, I'm not going to worry about painting inside the bell housing because there's no... I'm actually only painting the block for aesthetic reasons, just to make it a bit nicer.
Fair enough.
You probably won't even see the block once it's in the car, but I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Anywho, I just want to do... You know what? I really love this car and I just want to do everything like 110%.
That's how I want to see it too.
So, happy days.
Plus, the car's watching you.
The car knows. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Well, we've had a pretty productive day with the 2J. We've got the cylinder head off. That's ready to go to the machine shop. We've actually prepped the surface of the block, the deck. We've also removed the lower pan and the sump bowl, given them a good clean out, resealed them, replaced the O-ring between the pickup tube on the pan and the block, and yeah, cleaned everything out. There was actually, considering how many Ks are on this, I'm absolutely surprised how good of a condition this engine is in. With over 300,000 Ks on it, it's still got the cross hatching in the bores. The head has minor, if you can even call it minor, sludge in it. It's more just discoloring than sludge. The lower pan had 5 mil of sludge, not even that, in the bottom. So it's actually been pretty well looked after, considering it wasn't out of a performance car or even really an enthusiast car. It was, like I said, it was my mate's mum's car at one point. So yeah, giving the thing a bit of a freshen up. And I have masked the deck surface for 2 reasons. A, so it doesn't corrode, because it could be a little while before we get the head back. And B, I'm actually going to paint the block in a future episode. We are just going to brush paint it. We're going to use a product called Pour 15 on it. It's a paint over rust paint. So yeah, now I've already acid washed the block. Basically all we've got to do is just give it another clean with some Prepsol or even brake cleaner, and then paint over it. I will actually remove the water pump when we do it so we can get behind the water pump and all in that area. I do have another water pump coming anyway, so we do need to replace that. So yeah, hopefully by the next time we're having a crack at this engine, we've got the water pump back and we can hook on in. But pretty much wraps up the episode for today. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Ooh, 2J things.
I'll be for life.
Get in the bin. Man, I genuinely am so surprised how good a condition that is, eh?
Well, that's good.
How good are all the tools we got? So many good things. Thanks, Christian. And Hughes Race Build. Ah, my biffiters.
Yeah. Did pretty good today for, you know, limited bendovers.
I know, bro. I tell you what, the bendovers are in short supply. You're still filming.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Has anyone got some bendovers they can sell me?